Wiggle, wiggle.
Like.
Hey everyone, I have a subscriber request to do a vid on the Foch. Tank I do like, they have nerfed it a little bit. If you're struggling with any tanks, I'm compiling a tips and tricks playlist. If there's a tank you're looking for a little bit of help, I've got that, shoot over there, but let's go ahead and dive right into the Foch. So the Foch is a very interesting destroyer because you can really get aggressive and be up more so on the front lines compared to something like a grill because you have a much better frontal armor profile. You do have much weaker side and rear armor with some pretty big and flat armor you do have to protect, but you with the Foch can be much more aggressive. Now when I say much more aggressive, you don't want to go completely solo and up in one side of the map where your whole team goes on the other side of the map, because you can really get yourself in trouble and you can really get flanked quite easily because the traverse on this is it's okay, but you can still get flanked and get yourself in bad positions. So as a tank destroyer, the thing that you have to keep in mind is that you are a support tank. So you always have to keep in mind that when you're positioning yourself on a map, that you're playing a supportive role. So a lot of with the Foch is a combination of being aggressive, but first of all, using the landscape to protect yourself, and then relying on your armor as secondary. When you have to rely on your armor, you're wiggling a little bit, trying to angle that frontal armor, and you can really get some good bouncy rounds off of it. And then number 3 is staying within that outer circumference with moving along with your team. So what I mean is that going back to the supportive role, if my team is moving toward one side of the map, I'm trying to move with them, but I'm also more so on the front lines, helping to support them, if that makes sense. So I have a couple replays here of some examples of how to do that. And really what you'll notice is I'm never 100% just relying on my armor. What I mean by that is I'm not putting myself in a situation where I'm completely out in the open. I'm just going like full YOLO aggressive and putting myself in a spot where the enemy has like the full ability to shoot me. What you want to do is get to an aggressive position, be able to pop out, shoot, back up, get behind some type of cover, pop back out again, shoot, and continue to do that and move from one place of cover to the next place of cover to the next place of cover, but being aggressive, using the map, the landscape, pop out, take those shots, back up, reload, let your team kind of do the things around you, and then keep moving up, pop out, take another shot, back up. So I personally like the auto-loading cannon on this. I know there's 2 options for it, but here's another example. I'll kind of talk more through this replay. So here I'm aggressively moving up. Like I was saying earlier, this is a tank that you can be much more frontline aggressive with. So here I am, I'm moving to an area of cover, but being aggressive more on the front line, being on that frontal area of the circumference that I was mentioning, but I'm using my landscape, or using the landscape still. So if tanks do come around the corner, I can still pop shots back up and still kind of be aggressive. So now we know where they are. I'm putting myself in a position to get up here on this hill, but I notice that there's the T-54 right behind me, and I really need to get rid of him because he's putting us in a really bad spot. But the thing about the Foch too is you have to be very conscientious. And I realize that I start saying this with every single tank tips and tricks that I do, but you really do have to be very conscientious of the map, where your team is, where your enemy is at all times, and position yourself accordingly. So here I'm really trying to get rid of this T-54, and I'm trying to put myself in a little bit lower position on the hill, so that T-92E1 doesn't have clear shots on me. And he does put me in a bad position a couple times, like him coming out over here and going up on the hill really did put me in a bad position. But I'm really trying to be conscientious of the map, what my team is doing, and then depending on what my team and the enemies are doing, I'm kind of aggressively pushing with them. Once again, I'm being a support tank. I'm not going completely solo or rogue or completely relying on my armor. I'm kind of moving from cover, but being aggressive, being on the front lines, being that supportive role, and that's how you play with the Foch. Really a good tank, a good and very capable tank destroyer. I know they even have buffed the cupola. Light and mediums are gonna have a hard time penetrating that, but the thing you even have to be much more careful of is you can be a slightly more aggressive frontally when it comes to light and medium tanks. Like, you can rely on your armor more. You still need your team and be that supportive role, but light and mediums don't have as good of penetration values, whereas you come across another tier 10 destroyer, you can really get yourself in a little bit more trouble. And so that's why I'm trying to be a little bit extra careful here, because these two Russian destroyers, these two objects, have excellent penetration. So I'm being a little bit more careful, but this upper hill gives me a little bit of an advantage. So anyway, hope this video was helpful. This is the Muffin here. You guys stay cool and keep tanking.